What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we start a new series comparing melee units across different commanders. Melee unit is defined in the editor apparently as a unit that needs to have a ground pathing available to its target in order to attack it. That means stuff like Shadow Fury, where you can just teleport from your location, does not count. Stuff like the Fire Bat, which does shoot fire, but it can't connect across cliffs. For example, if there's something block it, is not considered a melee unit if it can reach units across cliffs. And stuff like Ultralisks with their area damage cleaves are still considered melee units even though they can target multiple stuff at a time. So let's begin. We will start with Raynor, Renegade Commander, no prestige here, and we will be using Spidermines primarily. So no prestige, my masteries will be resource cost so that my upgrades come faster. I will go with Hyperion cooldown because I will need a lot of point defense drones and a lot of anti-air. And finally, mech attack speed because I will be needing supplementary firepower because the Spidermines are pretty expensive once you get a lot of them to fight trains. So let's begin. Thank you to Endarth, Lucian Superiorness, Shadow Archon who are supporting me at the Pulse Cannon tier. And thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. We are doing Oblivion Express against Ground Zerg Classic this time. The objective of this map is to delete the trains that come across these tracks over here. They will try to escape from the west side of the map to the east side of the map. There's another track down south. And there's a bonus track for bonus trains that come through here. So for Raynor, it's very important that I get a lot of minerals because Raynor's primary melee unit here is the Spidermine, and each Spidermine costs 15 minutes to produce out of the Vulture. To get myself a lot of minerals, I will need about 7 orbital commands to continuously mule away at these blue resources called minerals. We will need a lot of those minerals to fund our production of Spidermines. And I'm starting an expansion here right now. Command center going down. I will need that to just start harvesting these blue crystals. Again, the more blue crystals I have, the more I can afford to get all the Spidermines that I need. So to get myself the Vulture, I will need to make a factory and tech lab for the upgrades and reactor for double production. And to get those things, I will need gas. So I'm making these refineries so that my workers can harvest out of them. You can see that I have not yet started. Well, now it's started. So I'm starting the barracks right now. The barracks produces infantry units which are all ranged, but it's a tech requirement. I need the barracks to be able to have the factory. Plus, I'm going to use a little bit of a trick later on. Start a tech lab on my barracks and switch it on with my factory later. Of course, for those of you who are more experienced in StarCraft, you probably like, that's a trick. It's not like standard, but gotta explain it to everyone, you know? I can't assume that everyone knows StarCraft strategies and terminology, so factory on the way. You can see I've pulled my workers out of the gas because I need them to primarily harvest minerals so I can get more command centers. I think I'll pull a few workers back into these gases so I can start a tech lab. There we go. Momentarily harvest with those until I have enough to get my tech lab started. There we go. Tech lab is on the way. So this tech lab is an add-on. It can attach to this barracks. It can also attach to the factory. So my plan is I'll let the barracks produce the tech lab, and I'll have my factory fly in its place later on, so it doesn't have to build. It saves me a bit of building time, so that both structures can start producing at the same time. There we go. Upgrade for the replenishing magazines. Duskwings has been called down. It's a top bar ability. They just drop out of the sky. They break down these rocks so that I can harvest a little bit closer. You can see that the vultures have dropped. So these factories just rally the vultures that I'm producing straight to the battlefield. They just drop right out of the sky to where I've rallied them. And now you can see these vultures deploy these little Spidermine things, and those are my melee units. So I need to deploy a lot of those Spidermine things. To do that, I'm getting this replenishing magazines upgrade so that my vultures can reproduce their own Spidermines. So you can see there's a command here that I right-click that button over there so that it will be an autocast, so that I don't have to tell them to produce the Spidermines manually. They just kind of produce on their own. So you can see that I use the Hyperion and drop a point defense here because this Hydralisk can actually shoot down a lot of my Spidermines. So by putting this point defense zone here, it prevents the Hydralisk from shooting down by blocking their attacks. You can see I'm just deploying more and more of these Spidermines along the tracks, and they will shoot at that train. Second upgrade is the Cerberus mine. You can see that the mines have become visually larger and they become more effective at taking out enemies because they have a decreased splash radius, also increased detonation radius or aggro radius. You can see first train goes down. I have a second point defense drone here, also drop with the Hyperion, so that I can prevent these guys from shooting down my Spidermines. You can see those Hydras had tried to shoot, but they got blocked so quickly by the point defense drone, doing its job as intended. Spidermine takes out that Hydralisk. Reactor is on the way being produced by the barracks here, so that I can produce 2 vultures at a time. So the difference, these two add-ons can be attached to any Terran production structure except the command center. So the tech lab allows me to research upgrades and research, and the reactor allows me to produce 2 units at a time. Also, tech lab unlocks higher tech units for in the barracks case. That's the Marauder, the Firebat, and the Medic. For the factory, you can see that this tank is great at. I will be able to produce tanks once I have a tech lab on that factory. You can see I have 2 orbitals on here now. Each of these orbitals gains energy, and that energy can be spent on dropping mules out of the sky. The mules harvest 6 times as efficiently as SCVs. These normal green workers here, they are way more effective at mining, so you want to keep dropping them. They are temporary units. You can see they have a life bar on here, so you want to keep dropping them so you can sustain that extra income. The reason in 1v1 you don't see this strategy of just having a lot of these orbitals at the same side is because in 1v1 the mineral resources, the mineral patches have very few minerals. They have like 1500, sometimes 1000, sometimes 750 minerals. In co-op, you can see that these patches have 3500, 3500, 3300 minerals, a lot of minerals for each patch. And this map can only go for a maximum of like 26 minutes or something. So you want to keep harvesting these minerals as hard as possible, so you want to drop the mules. For now, vultures keep deploying their Spidermines. Trade is not quite down. I will need to put these Spidermines down so that they can re-attack the train and make it go down. Attack wave. Delete that. I've separated these 4 vultures over here so that they can camp the bonus train. I mentioned earlier that this track here is for the bonus trains. They are not required to win the mission, but they will get you bonus EXP if you're able to destroy 2 trains that come from here. Attack wave at 10 minutes. That will come up here to this ramp, which is why I've started placing down these Spidermines over here to be able to camp this ramp. The enemies don't initially have vision up the ramp. They need to set a few units up the ramp so that they can actually see my Spidermines. And of course, I put the Spidermines right at the very edge so that the Hydras don't quite get the vision that they need before it's too late. Of course, there's a lurker over there that's given vision by this Overseer. I don't quite have time to go back to it, so I just dropped the Banshees. It's a little bit of damage. Those are range units. Those will definitely not count towards the Vulture stats, but it's like 2 lurkers, so it's not a big deal. Couple more of these vultures. You can see I have 10 vulture force. I actually made the siege tank here as a little bit of a strategy, because now that there's an overseer here, and of course the Spidermines kind of reveal themselves, they'll become susceptible to ranged attacks. These Spidermines are not like the 2016 Spidermines that will become invincible once they unburrow. These become very destructible when they reveal themselves. So once the enemies have ranged units, they will be able to shoot down my Spidermines from distance once they see it. So to counteract that, I put a siege tank on here to shoot at the enemies from even further away, so that the enemies will be forced to attack the siege tank. The siege tank basically draws aggro from the enemy units, so that the enemy units will try to hit my siege tank instead of my Spidermines, so that my Spidermines will be safe until the enemies stray close enough to actually aggro the mines. You can see these vultures that I deployed here earlier put down enough mines to delete that train. Hyperion is here, taking out those air units, and again deploying point defense drones to prevent the enemy from hitting my Spidermines. You can see they're trying to shoot my vultures as well as my Spidermines, but thanks to the point defense drone, they're made not a thing. I had to use a scan there, use the vultures to take those guys out. Siege tank once again here to just aggro the enemy onto itself rather than to my Spidermines. Hyperion just using all its point defense drone charges, and also clearing out this area so I can have more guys on there. Meanwhile, these vultures just deploying their Spidermines separately. You can see I have two separate control groups of these vultures. The main one on the main train, or on the main objective trains, and this 5 vulture group out here to camp the bonus objective. Also, let's put down a few Spidermines at the bottom of the ramp. Meanwhile, Tom, you can see I now have 6 of these orbital commands, and 2 more, that totals 8. And now I have a 9th on the way. That's probably too much, but like I mentioned earlier, if you don't mine out the minerals by the end of the game, that means you can still produce more command centers and not mine out early. Spidermines take out the first train. Now the second train trying to make its way down south. You can see there are a lot of escorts making its way to it. I'll have to use these Duskwings to kind of whittle them down so that my vultures can move in and intercept that train. Meanwhile, over here, I still have a few of these Spidermines ready and waiting to shoot down that train. You can see it goes down almost immediately. That's very nice. That's exactly what I want the Spidermines to do. So far, so good. That is 5 trains down. The next event here will be an attack wave coming from here. So I'll need to put down a lot of Spidermines. And the siege tank once again in good position to kind of force the enemy to walk through my field. Again, normally enemies would just kind of try to shoot my Spidermines as they're doing right now. But once the siege tank shoots at them, you can see the siege tank kind of forces the enemies, that bush for example, to walk toward it and stray into attack range of my Spidermines. Trying to walk up here. It's not quite going down fast enough, so I just run a few vultures forward, deploy some Spidermines, and still not quite enough.
Looks like they've got another shipment leaving the station.
Good news is the tank is there to clean up. It has 16 deletions of enemies. Pretty decent. Have a second siege tank over here just to kind of keep my guys alive. There are a couple lurkers there. Might give my siege tank a bad day, but the action right now is more focused on this train right here, going to the south, or rather the east, or the west, the center-west route. You can see on the minimap that long train-like structure over there is, a train, and has a lot of escorts that absorb a lot of the Spidermines. But now they're gone. The escort, that is. So my siege tanks and my Spidermines have free reign. Just keep whacking it. My second control group has also left a surprise for that second train, but it won't even make it. Well, it might. Yeah. It aggroed a few of them. You can see siege tanks just forcing these hybrid to respect the Spidermines, or rather respect itself, and walk through the Spidermines. Next attack wave will come from here. 19 minutes. I will need to put a lot of Spidermines here to stop the attack wave from dealing a lot of damage. So this is a solo, so I need to protect my Phoenix ally. I cannot let this building take any damage. You can see mules still raining down from the sky. This thing now has 1200. This was 1600 resource remaining. This was 1900, so I'm actually using my mules pretty well. I also have a couple of medics here. These medics with the upgrade, with a stabilized med pack upgrade, can heal mech. That's insane damage by those mines. Look at that. Just wiped out the entire attack wave. Incredible. Next attack wave will be the double train. It will come from the northwest as well as from the central west. And then we'll need to put down enough Spidermines to destroy both of those things. I just need this hydrogen strafe close enough. A couple more tanks here. Just supporting each other with SCVs repairing. Putting down more of the Spidermines. You can see that escort has been almost quickly deleted. Escort intercepting mines have been laid. These mines now going after this train. You can see that they're very effective. I like how Amon doesn't adapt and use some sort of minesweeper tool, any tool, just to sweep the mines. Meanwhile, the train is very tanky. It is punching through, but not quite enough.
You ain't going anywhere.
Vulture group is now putting down these magma. They're also attacking the train, but they're also, more importantly, laying down the Spidermines. You can see all of them have the replenish Spidermine autocast. They are whacking down this train, and bonus train will probably not last long because of all these mines that I put down. Oh my goodness, that just barely didn't go down. Oh, it's still alive. That's crazy. I thought for sure that that was enough. That was just actually barely not enough. It was like one mine short. And now I see it's one mine short, so I use these vultures to pursue. And that should finish it off, right? That should finish it off. That goes. Now for the attack wave, I've also, once again, laid down all these Spidermines. And they just give a nice hug to all these enemy units. Now that the only threatening units here are, well, the spine crawler. That's not really a threat, but it's more threatening than these queens right now. I just put my siege tanks on this spot to augment the firepower, but the main damage dealer to all my forces are the Spidermines that the vultures. But vultures are basically factories. They're factories of mines, and they just put down so many mines using the power of rapid fire. You can see my middles are actually thinning. This one is 680 remaining, 820. It looks like they'll be just enough. Yeah, it looks like 9 orbitals are just enough to just barely mine out this map. You can see my minerals are not going up at all. They've been that low for most of the game. With the power of rapid fire. I'm just throwing down mine after mine after mine. I'm just holding down the deploy Spidermine button right now. If not, holding down the MULE button. Just the power of rapid fire. Just so many mines heading toward that train and making it not a thing. And that's game. Raynor is done with Spidermines. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else you can do, please leave it in the comment. Okay, so the score screen. I figured that melees really aren't the sort that would have survivability as one of their main assets, so I changed up the way I graded these things for this this set of missions. So I've decided instead to take a look at the damage dealt. Damage you can see is right there, 256, 498. 256, 498. Multiply that by the damage dealt by the Spidermines, that's 84.2%. Oh, oops, I actually meant to put that here. Copy paste this. Damage. There we go. Yeah, 256, 498 by 84.2 damage. There we go. So I'm not gonna put a number here yet on the total damage. So how this will work is it'll be comparative. It'll actually be comparative. So what I'll do is I'll compare these scores over here and give points for total damage based on the percentage of each commander relative to the highest one here. So meaning, if Kerrigan gets, for example, a 300,000 damage run, it will be this divided by max of this entire column. Multiply that by 4. So that will be a 2.88 score for Raynor Spidermines relative to total. But now, since there's nothing here yet, it'll be just a full 4. Of course, it's not final yet. I don't want to give Raynor a 4 because he's the very first one. We'll see where it lands after all the stats are counted. For now, I'll leave it a blank. We'll see after the challenge is over. This one is more objective percentage of kills. That's one you're familiar with. You can see it's 78%. Multiply that by 3. There you go. Make a decimal. And it's 2.33 out of 10 so far. Cost efficiency, it's a bit a little tricky. Right, here we have Starcraft II Co-Op.com saying that each Spidermine costs 15 minerals each. To get the total cost, 15 minerals by produced 2034. That's about right. Yeah, 2034 Spidermines created. That's 30,000 minerals sunk into the Spidermines. And how I'll rate the cost efficiency is the inverse. I'll take the max amount or the highest amount of the values or the scores here, divide that by the individual score, so it'll be inverse. So the higher your score, or the lower your cost is relative to total, the higher you score here, because it's cost efficiency. How much of a unit do you need to get the job done? Multiply that by 2, so that'll be your score. And again, since we don't have any of the other numbers yet, the other scores yet, I'll leave that blank for now, but I'll put those formulas in as soon as I have more commanders, maybe around Abathur. But the last one is up to you. A poll will go up tomorrow asking you guys whether you like Raynor Spidermines relative to other melee units. I'll see you guys next time. 4:26 8 p.m. Realistic. Gotta love that rapid fire.